Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, plus 3 wins in a row. It's a start. Last time we won is the lost. We didn't even, like, acknowledge it. it's just the way it's done. Okay, well, apparently we're just gonna keep doing it. What do you think, Ruka? I didn't even mention it. TJMN. GR81. That's right? Yeah. I want wait what, please? Could help us. I'm willing to do it. I don't know how long it takes, but, there we go. I didn't mention it because I got so attached to the idea of talking about moving in the previous episode. Anytime you get a single theme episode, I'm a happy man, honestly. I think it leads to, pardon me, a situation where you have a more focused episode. What do you think, Ruka? But I do have to say, I experienced the most, the most heartbreaking thing that any pet owner can experience, and the second most heartbreaking thing. And every pet owner will experience it at least once per pet. I accidentally sat on my cat. I want to preface this by saying he's totally fine. And I'm not saying everybody's gonna sit on their cat at some point, but everybody's gonna because I don't know about dogs, to be honest. I've never had a dog, but cats, the expression "curiosity killed the cat" exists for a reason. You know, I've been lifting all these heavy boxes. I pick up a box, the cats are like, "Hey, what do your shoes smell like?" This would be a really good time when you can't even see your feet for us to just, you know, run circles and figure eights in between your legs right now. They have a death wish that I cannot comprehend, especially on an evolutionary level. But last night I was standing up, I was fiddling with some stuff on my desk, and I guess while I was standing up, Tomo jumped into my chair and, you know, was taking a little bit of a nap. And then when I sat down, thankfully, I didn't put my full weight on him or anything like that, but still enough that, you know, I'm sure it didn't feel pleasant, and, you know, he took off, and then I was like, Tomo, what's wrong, man? And then I'd, like, tried to, like, comfort him, but he goes and hides under the bed, and every time he saw me for, like, the next couple of hours, he would look at me like I was a terrible monster and, like, run away from me. I'm happy to report we moved past it. Tomo is uninjured, and psychologically he's returned to a good level. However, it's so heartbreaking. You know, I remember the last time it happened was, I was taking in some groceries into our apartment. This is like 6 years ago, well, maybe 5 years ago. I was taking in some groceries into our apartment, and, you know, I put down, like, one of the bags, and then the cats just swarmed my feet, and while I was, like, you know, trying to dodge them, I accidentally stepped on Tomo's paw with my foot while I also had shoes on, which, you know, is unpleasant for an adult human being, much less, you know, a cat. And they just look at you like, why would you do that? And you're like, I don't want to. Why don't you give me a little bit of space when I come into the apartment? No, that's unfeasible. But it all, you know, because the pets are so innocent, right? They at least on a human level, they don't possess the same kind of capability for cruelty that a human being does. You know, a human being can deliberately act against somebody else's best interests for petty reasons. Cats are just like, you know, sometimes when I mean, I'm sure in the animal kingdom is different. But, like, in this house, sometimes Ruka will just, like, you know, Tomo will walk by and he'll, like, hit him on the leg. That's not the same level of cruel as, like, you know, cutting someone's brake lines or something like that so they plunge over the gorge. Anyway, it always feels bad. I did not mean to place a bomb down there. I meant to use wait what. This is really the moment of truth. This run is much worse than the last run through 2 floors, but still, you know, plenty of time here. And the first deal with the devil is really where you start to... Ooh, be careful. Don't use your orbital too much, brother. The first deal with the devil is really where you start to look at the run, you know, with the sober mindset and say, like, okay, where are we going with this one? Oh, and it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Can't really complain. Anyway, it's a good day. It's a Friday. Fridays are, I mean, every day's a little bit busier than normal right now because of the moving thing and the, hey, did you call this company? Did you change your address here? Did you get this sorted out? Did you blah, blah, blah? But, you know, just, you don't realize it's a never-ending assortment of address changes you have to go through. When you move somewhere. Not to mention lifting the heavy boxes, but apart from that, dude, I gotta tell you, I love a Friday. Yep. Don't hit me. Oh my god, he was so close to hitting me. Thank you! That's very good. Friday is still a nice casual day. It's one of the only days of the week that I don't split my time between YouTube and Twitch. Saturday, I don't do either. Tuesday, I usually only do Twitch and no YouTube stuff, but oftentimes when I say no YouTube stuff, I'll still record 1 or 2 videos before we do that long stream, just to make the rest of my week a little bit easier, you know? But Fridays, there's no stream. It's just, you know, you're good to go. It's nice to just be able to sit, you know, not have to... I mean, just to be straight up with you. You know, what's easier, streaming or making YouTube videos? They're both easy. But they're easy, they're easy and hard in different ways. A YouTube video is easier because there's no live critical feedback, which means you don't have to deal with the psychological trauma of 100 people telling you that what you're doing is boring, and then a day later, the same people being like, yo, dude, yesterday's show was so awesome, thanks a lot. So that's nice. But at the same time, when it comes to things to talk about, you know, it's a lot easier when you got chat open. The conversation flows a little bit more easily when you've got a chat there, especially when chat's active. They'll ask you questions like, hey, NL, you know, what would you prefer? To never be able to eat bread again or to never be able to eat cheese again? And you know what? That's the kind of topic... You know, an average person, you could probably... Well, I mean, this is just way better. The average person would probably be like, you know what? I would rather have sandwiches with no cheese than cheese with no sandwiches. Or they'd be like, well, you know, assuming I still get access to pizza crust, I would rather have cheese so that I could eat pizza, blah, blah, blah. I could write a dissertation. I could get in front. I could go to Grant Hall at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and I can give you 25 minutes right off the cuff. There's so many different spectrums to examine that sentence from. Now, I'll tell you, I have bought many breads and many cheeses from the grocery store over the course of my existence, and bakeries, and even specialty cheese shops on occasion. You may remember there was a period about a year and a half ago where I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll become one of those dudes who's really into cheese. It didn't stick, but it was still a fun time to broaden my horizons a little bit, you know? I don't buy cheese or bread at the grocery store anymore. Bread is really, that's a health conscious choice, to be honest with you. If I'm gonna be eating a rich carbohydrate source, I mean, I do eat breads. Like, once a day, I'll have like some, you know, tacos carnitas. So I'll have it in a tortilla or in a pita, for example. It's not like I don't eat any bread products, but I don't buy, you know, like a loaf of bread. And I honestly haven't really noticed the quality of life dip. I reject the notion as well that if you can't have bread, it would also take away tortillas, pitas, naans, various flatbreads, wraps, etc., etc. I think that's a little much, but you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe you're actually correct. But cheese is more like... Can I tell you the reason I don't buy cheese? Within reason, we can afford it, but cheese is just really expensive, dude. And, you know, I'm at the point, like, I'm trying to decide, like, where I want to go with my human form. You know, no. Do I want to get, you know, lean? Or do I want to be, like, large and in charge? You know, I'm still trying to figure out where I stand there, and I think it's going to continue to evolve. But right now, I'm trying to put on a little bit of weight. You can put on weight with cheese, but I've been having a much more economical experience putting on weight using peanut butter. Peanut butter is extremely cheap, delicious, very easy to eat. Cheese, expensive, you know, kind of similar from a macronutrient breakdown level. I gotta say, I'm a peanut butter man right now. So that's where I stand on that. But what would be easier to give up, cheese or bread? I mean, it's honestly, I don't eat that much of either. I don't think it would be... Right now, my doctor was like, hey, Ryan, he doesn't call me NL. He doesn't think that I actually have a real job. He thinks that this is just a cover for me being too embarrassed to say that I'm unemployed. Ryan, you can't eat bread or cheese anymore. You know, if you need to talk to somebody, you know, here's the grief counselor. Honestly, my life would only have a little bit of an adjustment. Even when we eat out, I don't eat cheese that much. Cheese, I would say, is like a once-a-week sort of thing. North American / European style bread, that's more like a once-a-month sort of thing. But of course, if we're talking about tortillas and pitas, it's a little different. I don't know. In short, the answer to your question is I don't know. I would be okay giving up either. Now, if you were like, you got to give up peanut butter or almond milk, I would be like, there's been a couple of good items here, but I'm really swinging for the fences. Even more so than this, please. Even more so than this. Oh, he's done it. Anyway. You might be saying, well, you can still have cashew milk. Yeah, but cashew milk's a little pricey, dude. You might be saying, well, you can still have almond butter. Yeah, but almond butter's a little pricey, dude. It's like you're not even listening. Okay. We're one item away from Guppy yet again. I'm as stunned as anybody else. It's been a really good day for Isaac so far, to be honest. Lost runs that are very, very strong and have made winning much more likely than losing, but have not made it so losing's impossible. Also watched a little bit, so I mentioned this a little bit on my Thursday stream, but I don't watch Hot Ones very often. Hot Ones, if you're not familiar, is the YouTube show from First We Feast that has hot wings and even hotter questions. Although, I have to be honest, that doesn't really make sense because the wings seem very hot and the questions, they don't seem that hot. Ooh, let me out, please. I don't mean that as a bad thing. The questions seem interesting, but are they hot questions? No, they're never like, hey, what do you think of the conflict in the Gaza Strip, you know? They're like, hey, explain this photo where you and Justin Bieber were courtside at a Floyd Mayweather boxing match. But anyway, it's not out of disrespect for Hot Ones at all. I watched, like, probably the entire first season of Hot Ones. But it's more that, like, I don't watch YouTube. Because YouTube is where I work. So it's kind of watching YouTube. I know it sounds foreign, but I don't like to watch YouTube because of the fact that it's kind of like being at my office. I don't like to be on the website. If that makes sense. You might disagree, but, you know, at least accept that I've been doing this for like a decade. So my opinion is not invalid, even if it's different from yours. You know, we'll have a different perspective just naturally. But I watched the Hot Ones episode with Paul Rudd, and that's actually like legitimately one of the best episodes of one of the best interviews I've ever seen in my entire life. For it to be in that context is also hilarious, where they're eating extremely spicy pieces of cauliflower. But like, you know, Paul Rudd, I think he's a great, I mean, I don't know him in real life, obviously, but at least the persona that he presents in interviews, I think is, you can learn a lot about how to be a likable human being from that. You know, what does he do that a lot of people being interviewed don't do? He takes a real interest in the interviewer. He's happy to be there. You know what? And there's a moment in the episode, it reminded me of like being in college with my friends. You know, they're doing the last wing. And then they say, Paul Rudd is like, hey, what if we put every single hot sauce onto this last wing? And Sean Evans goes along with it. They know it's going to be miserable, but they're cognizant that in that moment, no. They're cognizant that in that moment, they're experiencing like maybe a once in a lifetime, I will not take this, special situation that will never come to pass again, and they both lean into the wind that the moment represents. And I was like, it's a beautiful thing, even as silly as it is being about, you know, spicy wings. They're both like, this is gonna suck, but if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. They go along with it. I had experiences like that, you know, in university, where, you know, we did this one, this is a mature content warning. Know your limits, stay within it. We did basically a drinking game where on my campus, you know, there's these lights that you press, and then it gives you instant access to a security personnel at the university. So we mapped it out. We figured out there were like 70 of these lights at our university. Wouldn't it be an interesting drinking game? Mom, don't listen. If we shotgunned a beer at every single one of those lights over the course of an evening. I want to be clear, not 70 beers each, which would be, I don't know. That's like the LD99 for alcohol poisoning. We would all be dead, probably. Well, we would be dead or unable to have completed it. Let's put it that way. But as a group, you know? So the more people you get, the easier it's gonna be. We started with like 10 people, maybe even like 12 people. We hit the first couple of lights, and it was like a party, you know? Hey, Chris, it's your turn. Hey, Anna, it's your turn, you know? It was a nice adventure. We finished like 10 lights, and then half the people were like, anyway, I'm gonna go to bed. We're like, what do you mean you're gonna go to bed? There's like 55 lights left. They're like, yeah, I mean, I was just I came out to like wish you guys luck, but I wasn't gonna like stick around the whole time. I was like, oh, well, you know, you could have RSVP'd as a maybe on the Facebook event instead of hitting that hard yes button. But anyway, so eventually, you know, there's probably like, I don't know, maybe 35 to 45 lights left. Things are justifiably a little bit fuzzy here. We kind of hit a moment with the 4 of us that remained. That was like, are we going to do this? We're guppy again. I don't believe it. Are we going to do this and be legends in our own minds, or are we going to give up? And we all acknowledged it was going to suck, and it was going to be painful. But at the same time, if we're ever going to do it, when else in our lives would we do it? Now, I'll tell you, like, last night, you know, after moving a lot, Kate and I went out for dinner. And, like, I got a beer with dinner, and I was like, ooh, you know what? I'm feeling a little saucy tonight. Maybe I'll get 2 beers. I had half of the first beer and was like, I just want to go to bed. It's a Thursday. Let's not get crazy. But, you know, this is 15 years ago almost now. Well, 12 years ago, I guess. But we hit a moment where, like, you know, there is only one chance for us to do this in our lives. And if we're in it, I want to be in it together. We did it. It took us, you know, from like 9 p.m. Sure, why not? Until 5 or 6 a.m. And there were... I would not recommend it, by the way. I want that to be clear. I think it's a very ill-advised idea. If anybody came to me and was like, hey, inspired by you guys doing this, we did it too, I would be like, you're just about as dumb as I was when I was in college then. Which is, you're right, but I wanted to be clear, I'm not endorsing this. Either way, you know, Even if I go 7, 8, 9 years without talking to those guys, I know that for the rest of our lives, as foolish as it is, we have a little bit of shared camaraderie. We chose at this one pivotal moment in our lives to do something incredibly stupid, to do it together, under and aware of the knowledge that it was dumb in the first place, but we said, you know what? Making this memory with you, you, and you is more important than doing the sensible thing in this situation. Now, I'm glamorizing an idiotic event a little bit, but that is what that Hot Ones interview reminded me of. When they said, hey, do you want to torture ourselves on this because it's been a special day? I was like, you know what? That's like a little stamp of certification that just says, like, we were here. So after watching that, I watched a little bit of Paul Rudd's new Netflix show, Living with Yourself. And I was like, it's an interesting show so far. I don't know how I feel about it so far. I know I'm at least mildly positive, but I've only gone through 2 episodes so far, so there's still much more to go through. But I would recommend it. I gotta be honest, been in a little bit of a Netflix rut for a while. There's not been a lot of stuff on Netflix that I'm really interested in, mostly because of the fact that I don't necessarily like watching shows where people cook things that much. I mean, I'm not like super against it, but at the same time, I'm like, I get it, you know? It's a cake. So to have something new on Netflix that's kind of interesting is good. Yeah, I know I haven't seen The Good Place. Yeah, I know I haven't seen Dark. I will watch them at some point. I promise you they're on the list. The thing is, most of the time I watch TV is watch the TV while I'm playing Tetris 99 on the Switch on my couch. We don't have a smart TV because we bought our TV for like $75 at Future Shop before it went out of business or became Best Buy, whatever. I don't know the exact corporate situation that led to it. This is in the not pre-smart TV era, but it was like, TVs are weird, right? Like my understanding of TVs is like it's the car market, but like turned up to 1,000. It's like if you want the new hotness in TVs, you're gonna pay 4 figures. You know, if you want a big 4K smart TV, you're gonna be paying through the nose. If you're willing to go one step down on any of those features, they're just giving them away. If you want a small 4K smart TV, it's gonna be like a few $100. That's my understanding, at least. Which is crazy to me. I am just struck by the absurdity of like how expensive technology was in like my parents' generation. I'm pretty sure that every TV, I don't want, we have the algaes, just pop it, just get it out there. I hate this guy. Every TV my parents purchased prior to the year 2010 probably cost more than any TV I've ever purchased in my entire life, and every single one of them was also at least 10 times worse. And I get, you might be saying like that's how technology works. Well, yes and no, right? Like, I mean, my dad bought a Ford Taurus in 1998. I'm pretty sure it was like 24 grand or something like that. I bought a Ford Focus in 2015. It was roughly that same price. And I gotta be honest, the 1998 Ford Taurus is better. It's lacking some creature comforts, okay? Like it doesn't know what Bluetooth is, so you can listen to your own music while you're driving. But at the same time, it's back when they knew how to make a working automatic transmission, which apparently is, so there's been some brain drain, and that's been lost. But I don't want to get into that again, okay? Anyway, what was I saying? You know, I think the TV market is particularly weird. Like, I remember my neighbor, when I was growing up, they didn't own a VCR with a rewind button. Because they were like, well, a VCR that just has a play button is like, I don't know, $300. Rewind button takes up to like $500. That's crazy. So then they just got a separate machine that allows them to rewind tapes as fast as possible. I tell this story like once a year because I think that if you're part of the generation that was not there for VHS, every year that goes by makes this story increasingly hilarious. They had a piece of, basically an appliance in their house that its exclusive purpose was to rewind movies. Nobody on Earth, well, I can't say on Earth, I guess, but rewinding movies, to begin with, is not a thing anymore. I know you might be like, well, yeah, what about a home? Sure, okay, maybe you got home movies. They're a thing. But, I mean, on a massive scale, when was the last time you rewinded a VHS tape? It's been at least 15 years for me. And then they had a piece of furniture in their house that was its express purpose, was just to do that one thing that now, 20 years later, is not even a real thing anymore. You know? There were factories across the world that manufactured, you know, little metallic and plastic apparatuses, packed them up in big shipping containers, put the shipping containers on the enormous freighters. The freighters would sail from port to port, dropping off these shipping containers. The shipping containers would be taken out from the port onto a tractor trailer that would then drive them to a factory. They'd be unloaded. Somebody would look at the box and be like, oh, here's, okay, we got 7,500 gizmos. And then they would assemble 7,500 tape rewinders, package them up, put them in another shipping container, send them to other ports around the world, Radio Shacks, Fry's Electronics, Best Buys. Well, I don't know if Best Buy even existed back then. They would unpack them, put them up in the store. A stock person would be like, okay, we got 7 tape rewinders in stock. People would plan their Saturday. They'd print advertisements. Hey, the tape rewinders are on sale this weekend. People would get that in their mail. Mail carriers having delivered the advertisements to the end customer to begin with. They'd be like, honey, we should get one of those tape rewinders. You know they're on sale this weekend. You go pick it up, take it home, and unbox it. It takes a village to rewind a tape in the year 1991. And now, the whole industry just doesn't exist anymore. There's people out there on planet Earth that were like, you know, they're living in the Cayman Islands right now. People are like, how'd you make your fortune? They're like, I invented the tape rewinder. It's an industry that doesn't even exist anymore. It's probably led to human misery. Hey, buddy, when did your life go wrong? I invested in tape rewinding in the year 1997, 2 years before it ceased to be a real thing. It's crazy to think about, dude. Anyway, it was a good bit. I liked that bit. So this run is still much, much, much less powerful than our last Lost run, but it is looking to be another, like, guaranteed success. That in and of itself is pretty cool. I will not take that. You know, if it weren't for us being the Lost, or even if we had Guppy's, if we had 9 lives instead of Guppy's collar, I would probably be persuaded to get a little funky with it because we're having more fun these days, but I don't really want to run that risk right now, if that's okay with you. I knew we were getting an item. 6 luck is just, that's enough. I don't even remember how I got myself on that subject to begin with. I do think about that from time to time. You know, sometimes I used to watch Dragon's Den a lot. Whoops. Dragon's Den is a originally British television program stolen by Canada and the United States of America. In the United States of America, it's known as Shark Tank. If you don't think America stole the TV show, here's something for you. No offense, by the way, if you live in America. But not only did you steal the show, but you stole like 3 of the judges from Dragon's Den Canada. So enjoy. But on the other hand, thank you for giving Kevin O'Leary a good excuse to spend more time outside of our country. I really appreciate seeing a lot less of him on the news, of all places. Why? Anyway. All that being, all joking aside, I used to watch a lot of Dragon's Den. And sometimes, you know, the Dragon's Den is a show where people would come with their, like, ideas, small business propositions, you know, products that they'd invented, etc., etc. And sometimes they would be like, it would be like a really, really bad idea. But then they'd ask them about, like, their supply chain. And they'd be like, yeah, we have a factory in China that's making these shirts that say, you know, honk if you farted. And I'm like, really? There's like... You're telling me you've got like 400 workers overseas employed whose job it is to ensure the quality of the honk if you farted t-shirt / bumper sticker. It's a wild world. Like, did you guys watch American Factory, the Netflix documentary? That, for my money, is actually like the best Netflix well, not just documentary, but like best Netflix property of the entire year. Very, very interesting. I almost died right there. It is kind of hard to see which shots are mine. We made it. But I'm just picturing that, but instead of making auto glass, they're making like a bumper sticker that says like, you know, it's the bumper sticker of Calvin peeing on the Chevrolet logo. Anyway, hey, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!